Well, the MVP showdown just really wasn't what we wanted. Now, was it? But our parlay hit, kind of. We'll explain later. Run it back starts now.
Run it up, then run it back. Yeah. Run it up, then run it back. Run it back. Run it up, run it back. Yeah. Run it up.
Welcome and happy Tuesday morning. This is Run It Back. Yes, there are only three of us. Why? Because Shams Charania, Stadium Insider, is currently busy on the trail of some hot, spicy news, I'm sure. I don't actually know, but it sounds good. Chandler Parsons joining us from Mexico. Eddie G on the end. Guys, it was not long after we went off the air yesterday that we found out that Joel Embiid wasn't even going to play. What a buzzkill. The whole day was ruined, but yes, the fans were quick with the missing person signs in the crowd. They trolled him the entire, I actually love it. Nuggets did win this one by 5. Jokic finished 24, 17, and 12. But really, the story of all day yesterday leading into the game turned into, is this and was this a bad look for Joel Embiid, Chandler?
In the big picture, yeah, it was, because I believe that these voters have short-term memory and fans wanted to see this matchup one more time, but it shouldn't be. And here's why: because you're when you're voting for the MVP, you're voting for the MVP of the entire season, not the head-to-head matchup. And even if it were to be the head-to-head matchup, Joel dominated the last time they played, and so give this one to Jokic and still 1-1, right? So if you really look at it, but the idea that he's ducking, Jokic, and that's not the case at all. Joel Embiid wants this MVP more than Jokic does. He has a seat at the table right now in the conversation just as much as Jokic does, whether he played last night or didn't. I think him playing last night and dominating would have helped his chance more than this should hurt his chances. But that's not the problem with the MVP right now. The problem is that they've lost 4 out of 5 and they're on this losing skid, and they're now doing what Denver did last week and kind of giving voters a little bit of doubt and giving them kind of this negative feedback really right now because they're not winning games. But the idea that this was Joel ducking, Jokic and not being able to play, you got to think big picture. You got to think postseason, and he's got to get ready for that to win a championship. But I don't think it should have any impact because, and like I said, even if it does, they played twice. Give this one to Jokic and give Joel that one. So still it's 1-1 in my eyes in the head-to-head. So it shouldn't really affect it.
In the wise words of Philly native Wallow, forget all that. He should have played the game. They should have figured out a way to play this game. They needed this game. Like you mentioned, they've lost 4 of their last 5. It doesn't help that he got clamped up by Bismack Biyombo a few nights ago in Phoenix, but he's got to play that game. It's not his fault that Shams puts the story out and we get all these great quotes and he's talking MVP and he's essentially taking subliminal shots at Jokic according to all the feds and saying, yo, the MVP should be about all this other stuff. It's not his fault. He said that whenever he said that, and then Shams he knows what he's doing. He struck when it was hot. But it's within him to say, yo, I got to play this game. Like, I know we've talked about this plenty of times on the show. I know this goes back to front office, this goes back to doctors, this goes back to trainers, this goes back to them having these plans months in advance to say, yo, 3 games in 4 nights, you are not playing that 3rd game. There's no way, it's just not happening, sorry. But they have to understand the way this game, and they really needed this game. So I'm not saying this decides the MVP. I'm not going to go full Kendrick Perkins, but I definitely was on here yesterday saying, yo, if he dominates Jokic again, the MVP race is over. So to just no-show, even if it was an organizational decision, that's a bad look. Plus, they needed this win for their team. They absolutely don't look now, but the Cavs are just a game and a half behind them. And so you could be looking at your 4 seed, and you might be really, really, really missing this game in a few weeks. So, yeah, maybe it's not deciding MVP, but it stung. It stung. It took some heat out of my night. I'll say that much.
It really did. And now I'd like to bring in the man who I blame personally for getting us so excited about last night's matchup. Shams, you're the guy that sat down with him last, and so many great moments, so many great quotes came out of your interview with him. Were you a little shocked? I mean, we go off the air and then we find out he's not playing due to a calf injury. How did you take that?
Yeah, definitely a little shocked, but I did hear over the weekend, like, this is not a guy that I think loves to play in Denver. The altitude there. Chandler's played in Denver. He hasn't played in Denver since 2019-2020 season. So it's been 3-4 years now since he stepped foot there. So, yeah, I mean, anytime you look at it, the Sixers are pointing to 3 games in 4 nights. And I think that's a viable excuse. This late in the year, he's clearly been dinged up at different points, but still he's playing at a high level. He's playing on most nights. You know, I just think, don't you then sit him on one of the back-to-backs? You know, he plays the back-to-back in Golden State, in Phoenix. Doesn't it make more sense after the calf tweak in Chicago last Wednesday when I spoke to him to maybe sit him one of the back-to-backs and then have him ready for Denver? So I don't know if this is something that it's a joint decision. Joel didn't want to play in Denver. The team didn't want to play him to play 3 games in 4 nights. Either way, Joel Embiid is clearly in the MVP mix, but you have to look at it. Nikola Jokic showed up both times. He had another triple-double last night, 29th triple-double, and he is by far the league leader in 20 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assist games this season. He's got 10. The rest of the league has 6 combined. He's playing at a high level. I don't know who the vote is right now. You have Joel Embiid, you have Jokic, you have Giannis. Giannis played in a back-to-back, including in Denver, I think in the last week or so. And Giannis is the number 1 seed in the East. This MVP is so wild this year. I think, it's good for the fans. I don't know where it's going.
It's so fun that you should probably be putting money on it. And as of right now, if you're wondering if last night impacted anything, just slightly, but Embiid is still a small favorite right now. Chandler, do you think, I listened to a lot of basketball radio yesterday, and some of those guys are voters, and it seemed to be swaying them one way or another. Do you think Embiid will be punished for not playing last night?
I don't think he should be. I think that'd be very, very short-sighted. I think he dominated the first matchup. I think what's hurting him now is the little losing skid that they're on, just like Denver went through last week. And when you look across the board, every team has kind of gone through this. Milwaukee, honestly, has been the most consistent team in my eyes. And for whatever reason, we just don't talk about Giannis that much. But he's just up there with me. But it's fun. I don't remember a time where there's been this close of a race and there's been so many guys, 3, 4, 5 guys that, you could close your eyes and pick one of them, and they're all very, very deserving. So I think definitely this was kind of a letdown, and everybody wanted to see this marquee matchup. But I don't think it should have the impact that people are putting on it. I don't think Joel Embiid was ducking him, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the big picture is to win, get the highest seed, lock up home court advantage, and get to the postseason. And that's exactly what he's doing. Shams made a great point. The decision that they made on which game to sit was a little interesting. No one likes playing in Denver, but you got to think that team, the organization, Joel, knew that this game had MVP implications and could kind of alter the decisions of some short-sighted voters. Like Kendrick Perkins said last night, now he's putting this narrative that he's ducking them. That, I think, is ridiculous, but it definitely had some negative news about it.
It's weird because I just do not see Joel Embiid as a guy who's ducking anyone. And so yesterday, all day long, the arguments felt very weird to me. But you mentioned Giannis. He might be in the best spot right now, Eddie, because he's just quietly doing his thing while we're talking about these two guys. Do you think the door's a little bit further open for him now?
Yeah, Giannis is moving so quietly. He load managed yesterday. Nobody cared. Nobody noticed. It was the Pistons. It was whatever. And the Bucks won. But he's right there. Like Shams mentioned, he's the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They have the best record in the league, and his stats are insane. I wonder, though, going forward, and this is going to be something to watch because, look, at the end of the day, the media votes on these awards, and they have implicit bias whether they want to admit it or not. I wonder if Giannis and Joel being so vocally adamant that, you guys are ruining the MVP every year. Let's fix it. Let's get it right. Let's do this. Well, Jokic is sitting there going, whatever you guys are doing. I wonder if that's going to be a thing later, but yeah, while we're sitting here, we're trashing Joel for sitting out this game and resting. And he's a big guy with a long injury history, and you don't want his legs to be hurt in 2 weeks when the playoffs start. So I get it 100%. But nobody cared that Giannis sat last night. Nobody cared that Giannis has missed a couple games the second half of the season so far. Nobody's bothered. So it's just funny how the scales are different for each guy. But I do wonder, those two guys openly lobbying for the MVP, maybe that doesn't work. Maybe it just defaults back to Jokic again 3 times in a row. That's legendary stuff. I don't know. I still think Joel's the MVP because I can't hold 1 game against him. But Giannis is right there.
God, this is gonna be fun actually as it keeps going down. Look, the Mavs played last night, guys. Don't look now, but maybe they figured some things out. Luka once again getting rescued by the league. He had that technical foul that he got on Sunday rescinded, so he did get to play last night. He finished with 25, 7, and 6. They win this one big against the Pacers, 127-104. Kyrie, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, and I know that the season's winding down. But Chandler, did you see enough last night to think maybe they can figure something out here in these last several games?
Well, it's obviously good to get off that schneid and get back in winning ways. And giving up 104 points, I'll tell you this, they'll win a lot more games giving up 104 points and actually being locked in and showing the effort on the defensive end that they showed last night. And we all know how talented they are offensively. That pass Luka Doncic made last night was one of the most difficult passes I've ever seen in my life. And it's crazy that it's just a normal kid. Yeah, like you see
this one
off balance, double team,
ridiculous.
Jumping. It's ridiculous. It's honestly, I've never seen like that. And like, so yeah, they shown flashes last night. Jaden Hardy has shown flashes. He can be that, that scorer. Kyrie's almost taking a step back. The rotation is kind of a little bit where Christian Wood's minutes have gone down. They're playing JaVale McGee. Like they're kind of just trying to find something, which I can respect Jake Kidd doing that. But to say they figured it out, no. But they definitely looked more locked in last night. And they played better defense. Like I said, giving up 104 points, that's a start. Now they need to build on this. And more than anything, this is a reality check for Luka. Enough with the refs. No more talking. You're too valuable for your team. You can't afford another tech and to be sitting out this game. They lose this game without him last night. So this needs to really be eye-opening to him and just focus basketball, lock in these last couple games, and be on the floor for your team. So last night was a good start to get back to winning ways.
Can I be the like Twitter guy on the couch real quick?
Yep.
The Mavs haven't figured it out. It's not really that deep of a question. They have flaws. They're going to be problematic going forward. This pass, like, I know we're talking like to the greatest player of all time here and saying he's wrong, but the guy was wide open. Like, I don't know, if I go on the court, I could throw the ball across the court. I know he's being doubled, but he's 6'10". Like,
yes. Yes, Eddie.
I'm just like, look, if he's wide open like that.
Who's number 12? Number 12 is right there in the passing lanes. He beats he splits the seams.
Yeah,
right,
well,
it's a bad read from the defender. We're talking about TJ McConnell on a double. Like, he's my size. I don't want to be that guy. I love Luka. I just hate the way we gas up passes to the open weak side corner. Like, we know there's a guy there. He's a guy there in every offensive scheme in the league. I'm going against the GOAT, who said it was amazing because he makes that pass all the time and loves to throw it to guys in the corner. Yes, Michelle. Michael Jordan talk. But I just wasn't moved like this. There wasn't even a defender on the guy. He threw it to somebody who's the only person on that side of the court. So, decent pass, easy read.
Decent pass.
Ripping, Eddie. That was an absolute dime underneath the basket, getting double teamed, fading away. You're nuts.
That makes
I
me
get it.
laugh
I'm the
so
worst
hard.
basketball player on the panel, but I just said, what?
Probably true, yeah.
I don't see it, guys. I don't see it.
Like, I believe you're right. I can make some shots. Shams, Kyrie, he played 30 minutes. He had 16 points. Is the plan for him to just finish out? What do they have? 6 games left for him to finish this out, play through this season?
Yeah, I mean, he had 14 points in the first quarter. Strong start to the game. Kind of trailed off as the game went on. I think he's managing this plantar fasciitis injury. He's gonna play through it. There's no time. There's no luxury for them to sit. It's not like they're in a position where they've got the playoff seed locked in. And if they did have a top 6 seed locked in, he would probably be resting right now to get ready for the playoffs. They don't have that luxury. So he's going to have to play through it, play the rest of the season, play whatever play-in playoff game, and then take time off in the off season to really stay off his feet and get some rest in. But listen, when you look at this team, I said it yesterday, they probably have 5-6 guys, 5 most likely, that you can look at surefire and say, these guys will definitely be on next season's roster. These guys are keepers going to next year. So you have a 15, 16-man roster and only 5 guys you can look at and say, these are keepers going to next year. I don't know any team that's contending for a championship that can say that right now.
No, 5? Not a lot. I can tell you that as an expert in the NBA. There's only a half game right now that celebrates.
Your Spurs might have more, Michelle.
Honestly, I probably could put together 5 Spurs that will definitely be around. So you're welcome. We got Lakers, OKC, Mavs. Half game separating the 3 of those. Somebody's probably going to miss the play-in, Chandler. Who's it going to be?
It's hard to go with the Mavs right now, but I would still say Oklahoma City. I think they're the most inexperienced. They have the least pressure to win. They had 0 expectations all season long, and they've kind of flown under the radar. And I hate to pick them because I weirdly, like, I don't like the Lakers, and the Mavs are really hard to pull for right now. And I just feel like I love this team. They're so young. They don't care. They obviously want the experience. They want to be there so bad, but there's 0 pressure for them. We won't even talk about it if they miss the play-in this year, right? As media now. It's a full-blown story if the Mavs don't make it. It's a full-blown story if the Lakers don't make it. They have way more pressure. I think those 2 teams will overcome, and I think they'll sneak in there over OKC just for those reasons alone. I love OKC's team. I love what they're doing. I love their future. I think they have the brightest future, honestly, in the NBA right now. I just think these other teams with the Kyrie trade, the Mavs feel pressure. With the Lakers situation, they always, in that media market, they feel pressure. And I think those 2 teams kind of have the edge there with experience, with talent, and those reasons.
Wait, couldn't we argue really quickly that because they have no pressure, that they seem to be in the driver's seat? Like OKC seems to be in the best spot.
They could, and no one's talking about them. No one expects them to do that. So they literally can just go and head down and win games. I don't see them having that experience. They don't have that maturity. I don't think, as bad as these other 2 teams are playing, I still think they're better basketball teams right now to go and win a game.
I feel like, I don't know, it's such a good story, and I can't wait to see where they are in 2 seasons. All right, we're moving on, because guess what? Bulls and Clippers, did not take very long for us to get the fireworks we desired between Westbrook and Pat Beverley.
A couple of former Lakers now with different teams. And Westbrook with an and one. And he just gave him the baby sign. He rocked the baby, as he often does.
No. It's too early right now. It's too early.
Oh, Pat Bev's too small came at an appropriate moment yesterday.
Yeah, it's a little bit too early for rocking the baby right now.
I don't know. I think 2-2 is a really good point at which you start talking as much smack as possible. Clippers did pull this one out. That was 124-112. The Westbrook-Beverley rivalry. Just first of all, 2 amazing characters in the league, Eddie, but where do you rank this?
I mean, it's up there, especially the fact that they started this season as teammates, and now they're, in their respective positions. They embraced before the game. Chandler mentioned it yesterday. It seems like everybody actually loves Pat Bev and just understands that's who he is. But it's fun. It's entertaining. Look at the way Russ is yucking it up. It was great. It was a great win for the Clippers. They needed that. Nicholas Batum looked amazing, and he's going to be their starter going forward for Paul George, so they get him back. But I love this. It's 2 of the more demonstrative guys in the league. And they have this friendly thing going on, and they both own it. They both lay all the way into it. So I like it. Give me a series of this. I wish we could get that again.
And I mean, this goes back years to when I played on the Rockets with Pat, and Russ went to go call the timeout, and Pat kind of went in to steal the ball and tore his meniscus. So there's definitely been some animosity here for a while. Let's not forget, a couple months ago when Pat Bev was on the Lakers, I think he said that his best friend on the team was Russell Westbrook, and how he talks to him the most and he hangs to him the most. So take it with a grain of salt. This is Russ's thing. It is funny to see him do it like the second possession of the game. that was a little premature. That was a little premature. Rivalry, I mean, I guess, because it's been going on for years, but these guys don't hate each other. They don't dislike each other. So I don't think there's much here, but it's definitely entertaining.
No, it's a different kind of rivalry. Like, we know they're not going to probably ever fight, but it's just, they're both so good at it. What the, all right, let me ask you this. The 5 spot, right? That's where they're sitting right now. They're only a half game behind Phoenix, which is kind of crazy. To get home court advantage for the Clippers would be how important, Chandler, if they can do it.
I mean, it's huge. When it comes to playoff time, home court advantage is everything. You want everything going your way. You want the whistle going your way. You want the crowd involved so much. And And the playoffs, the fans, they really play an impact. I remember going to Oklahoma City and going to Portland in this playoff series. I've never played in an experience like that, and it impacts the game. You can't hear your point guard calling the plays. You kind of get lost. You kind of have to freestyle, and that noise really helps the home team, and especially just with the travel and being able to open up the series at home, closing it at home. It's huge, and this team kind of been underachieving, and they're finally healthy, and they're giving us a little taste of what they can be. They make great trades at the deadline, so I think it's huge for them to try and lock that up, but it's tough with Phoenix, with KD coming back.
With KD coming back and with PG, where, Shams? What's the latest with Paul George?
Yeah, so right now he's going to be rehabbing his knee sprain over the next 2 or 3 weeks. The Clippers believe, I'm told, that they're going to have to get out of at least the first round for a real window for Paul George to return. So, maybe second round conference finals, you get out of the first round and you give yourself a chance to get Paul George back. We've seen in years past, injuries can derail playoff series. The Clippers a couple years ago went to the conference finals even after Kawhi Leonard suffered an ACL tear. So this team is accustomed to playing through injury. Thankfully, this wasn't any significant tear, any significant rupture, but Paul George is going to be out for an extended period of time, and you try to get out of the first round if you're the Clippers to give yourself a chance to get him back.
After this whole season of expectation, that is rough. Before we move on, I got to show you guys a bit of a trick shot, if you will, from Russell Westbrook. It didn't count. I will go ahead and say that now, but sometimes those are the best moments. Chandler, what do you think about this? Does this beat you in horse?
Yeah, it's great. It's a great horse shot there. I love how he's still arguing too. Like that should count.
Let it count. Let it count.
It should count. You count for 3.
What's better than that pass?
And 1.
That's
Give
better
him a
than
foul
that
for
Luka
that,
pass.
too.
He wanted it and 1.
He's so adamant about it too. God, I love Russell Westbrook. I always this
that
shot
is
is
a
so
foul,
crazy.
Though. That should have been an and 1. Give him a foul, Michelle.
Look, I'm giving him 3 automatically. I don't even care. I'm just doing it for the insanity of the shot itself. It's pretty. Or do we not want to be entertained? Is that what the NBA is for or not? I think that was an entertaining shot. Taking a quick break. Next up, the Timberwolves. Man, the Kings are trying to clinch something, guys. Get in on the story, Minnesota. More of that when we come back. Run It Back returns.
Run it up, the run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, 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 run it up, the run it back, yeah. Run it up.
When you talk about the category of being the best defensive player in the NBA, like, do you really believe it?
Yeah,
do you think anyone has a chance to come close to? Like, who else do you feel like is in your category at least?
In my category? Yeah. I don't know. I don't watch no one else besides myself defensively. Just like my versatility. Like one night I might guard Giannis, the next day I got to guard Trae Young or something. So just being able to guard 1 through 4 and just hold my own, really.
What do you mean you don't watch other people? All right, that's Jaden McDaniels with Shams. We'll get to him in a second, but first the game he just played in, Timberwolves Kings. All right, so that was a moment. He did finish with 20 points. Timberwolves pulling this one out by 4. Rudy Gobert, Eddie. 16 and 16. We'll talk him if you want to. But, Shams, I'm going to start with you. You did sit down with McDaniels. Do you think the Timberwolves are figuring out a way to peak at exactly the right time?
I think they are, and they did it last night without Karl-Anthony Towns. You're seeing Jaden McDaniels. I think the one silver lining of this season is with all the injuries to Karl-Anthony Towns, they've needed another player or two to step up. And you've seen Jaden McDaniels take a leap in his game. He had 20 points last night. He's averaging almost 18 points a game over the last 9 or 10 games. He's playing at such a high level for them right now on both ends of the floor. I think this is a guy that's going to have a good shot to make an all-defensive team as well. Rudy Gobert, 16, 16, and 4 to the chagrin of Eddie. He's playing at a good level. Anthony Edwards back in the lineup as well. Mike Conley playing at such a high level at point guard, just a stabilizing force. 4th win for the Wolves. I think they're playing a lot better, at least showing that they have a puncher's chance in the first round potentially if they make the playoffs.
Eddie, I open
I want to give Rudy Gobert. I want to give Rudy Gobert his flowers. I do. He started. He was 6 of 6 from the line to start the game. Late into the game, he was an absolute disruptive force on defense. They held the best offense of the league. And I'm talking about the highest scoring and the best offensive rating to 46% from the floor, which doesn't sound too crazy, but it's definitely less than they typically give you. They also held them to 18% from 3 And he's a huge part of that. The way you put him in space and make him close out, he's absolutely disruptive. Between that and then McDaniels and Anthony Edwards at the point of attack, they are a tough out. And I want to go a little bit further than Shams. They played the Grizzlies tough last year, and they didn't have the stabilizing force of Mike Conley. They didn't have the defensive acumen that they have now with Rudy Gobert. And again, they did all that last night without Karl Anthony Towns, still working him into their rotation and getting him right. If they see the Kings in the first round, which is where they're lined at right now, or the Grizzlies, where they were at yesterday before yesterday's game, they're a live dog. And I would say they might be the favorite against the Kings, and you really got to examine if they can just outright beat the Grizzlies without Brandon Clark now, still bringing Steven Adams back. That was a close series last year. Remember, they won game one straight out the play-in, surprised everybody, looked like they could be there. Now with Mike Conley stabilizing the offense, Anthony Edwards doesn't have to be the primary ball handler. He can do so much off the ball, catching the ball, hit a big three last night off of rotations and a Rudy Gobert pass. I'll give him that. That is a dangerous team, and they're finally getting healthy and peaking at the right time. I'm very interested to see where they line up in the playoffs.
I feel like I want to hold my hand up to Eddie's head and be like, do you feel okay? This was a lot of positive energy coming from that last spot on the panel. Chandler, what do you have?
Yeah, listen, this is why there was excitement about this team. They had the Rudy Gobert, and honestly, it didn't really work early on. But when you look at this roster now, defensively, they're very, very good. They have guards that can defend, they can pick up. They have Jaden McDaniels, who just said he believes he's the best defender in the NBA. Rudy Gobert, we know how good he is defensively. Kyle Anderson has been a low-key, sneaky pickup for them. He's kind of does it all. He's got the funny, slow shot, but he's so long. He gets in passing lanes. And then Mike Conley, kind of as the head of the snake, is that vet point guard where this is a very dangerous team. And now they got Towns back. They have a closer at the end of the games. They have a go-to bucket in him and Anthony Edwards. They have a good combination of youth, size, depth, vets. They really do have it all. And this is what is scary for a team like Sacramento, where if the playoffs ended right now, they're matching up. And we just saw how this could go for Sacramento. And that's what I think the hesitancy and the concern with the Kings going into the postseason is they don't have that experience. They don't have vets that have been there. And it's going to really, really hurt them in the playoffs. But Minnesota is for sure peaking at the right moment. You look in the NBA right now, offensively and defensively, they're playing just as good as anybody.
So on the Sacramento side, right, we all know that they are the team that has had the longest playoff drought across the board in anything. So last night would have been their chance to clinch home court advantage. They missed that, of course. De'Aaron Fox finished with 29, Domantas Sabonis with 24 and 10. Leading into these playoffs, this is going to be the talk, right? There's just not enough experience for this team to figure things out. I feel like you guys have alluded to that a little bit, Chandler, but is that right? Do you think the inexperience of this Kings team, despite the feel-good story that's been all season long, is going to end their season earlier than we'd probably like?
I mean, look, they're not going to be an easy out by any means, right? They are good. They are talented. They're two guys. Sabonis and Fox are very, very talented, and they have shooting around them. They're not just going to lay down, right? And that place is going to be rocking. They're going to get home court advantage, and it's going to be chaos in there, and they're breaking the streak, and all that's good. I just feel like deep down, they're just kind of happy to be there, right? They're just happy to break the streak. And then next year is kind of their chances where the expectations goes up higher and they expect to win and advance in the series. But it's all going to come down to matchups. You see how jumbled it is up, 6-10. They have no idea who they're going to play. It changes daily. But I'm not just counting them out losing first round, but I think whoever they do draw, it's going to be a dogfight. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, this was a close game late. They've been unsustainably incredible in the clutch all year long. De'Aaron Fox leads the league in fourth quarter scoring. His shooting percentage in the final 5 minutes of these games is absolutely absurd. They have a go-to punch that they just know can get good looks when they work the two-man game with him and Domantas Sabonis. But it being the most powerful offense in the league gets you so far. At some point, they're going to have to defend, and they just had issues getting stops late in that game last night. After Domantas fouled out, it got even worse with the rebounding, and you're just dealing with all of these things. It's very interesting watching them put Harrison Barnes on everybody's primary matchup. And then shout out to Harrison Barnes. Great career, all that stuff, but he should not be your defensive specialist when it comes to locking up perimeter guys. They have a lot of issues with their bench as well. I know Malik Monk has been great off the bench for them, but they're playing Alex Len yesterday, trying to figure out an answer for Rudy Gobert in the two big lineup. Naz Reid had his way with that team off the bench. Another guy Chandler and I both didn't mention, but he's been incredible for them as well. They have their issues. And what's most unfortunate for them is when you look at the standings and you look at the teams they made. Warriors, you're talking about the Lakers, you're talking about the Mavericks potentially, or even these Timberwolves. It does not look good for them, and it's unfortunate. And there was a little weird air of the fans, the organization, this lady, this 20-year ticket holder ringing the bell. Everybody was counting their eggs yesterday. Everybody was just ready to throw the playoff party, and it doesn't work like that. You got to go out there and win the games. There was a weird energy to that, and look, they're going to make it, but everybody was ready to celebrate yesterday. And like Chandler said, that gives a lot of, like, we're happy to be here energy. This is the parade. This is the win. We made it, finally. And I think we'll see that on the court, whether the players want to or not, or subconsciously, all that stuff. It's going to manifest itself on the court, and that's unfortunate because it's been a great season, and I think it's going to go down in a really ugly fire.
I do think, that's actually interesting. They're in a psychologically odd spot. A team that came in with zero expectations from us. I mean, I'm sure they had tons of expectations, but yeah, you're right. They're happy to be there, but also thinking we maybe could do this. So it's an interesting place to live for now, but I think it's going to be fun to watch. How about some Suns? Shall we talk some Phoenix Suns, y'all? And Utah Jazz. Suns with a 117-103 win up in Salt Lake. Devin Booker 24-7. Bismack Biyombo, just fun to say, 17-5. The Suns with Kevin Durant about to come back. Chandler, what are your expectations?
Very high. I think if he's doing what he did those 3 games he was playing, I think this is probably the most dangerous team in the Western Conference. And when you add a guy like KD, you obviously need some reps, right? You need some time. You need to know the spacing. He needs to know the offense, the sets, things like that. But you don't need that much time. This guy can adapt in any offense. He can put him on the floor with any 4 guys in the world, and he's going to do things like that. And I think honestly, there's no real recipe to guard this team because they have 2 of the greatest scorers on the wing. They have Chris Paul facilitating everything. They have DeAndre Ayton, who's an actual option off the block, rolling. And in a storm like this, they found something with guys like Torrey Craig and guys like Okogie. And then those are those role players that are going to have to come up big in a playoff series that make the game easier, that have to be prepared to make shots because they're going to get all the looks, right? These guys are in the best situation of all time. I don't know which one of them are free agents this summer, but they have an opportunity to really showcase their game and their value because they are going to get unlimited looks playing with Kevin Durant, playing with Devin Booker. And this team is extremely, extremely dangerous once he's back. And hopefully he stays healthy throughout this last couple of weeks and into the playoffs. And I look for them to make a really, really deep run.
Yeah, Shams, once he's back. I believe in the jinx. I almost don't even want to ask. I just want him to quietly return. But we still expecting tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow is still the targeted return for Kevin Durant. But I think when you look at it, like Chandler just said, the biggest thing will be how much easier he makes the game on everyone. And when he was on the floor, I saw it. I was at one of the games that him and Devin Booker and this group played together. It's pretty lethal when those 2 guys are on the floor together. The attention that both of them command individually and how that impacts the other. It makes the game so easy. And really on guys like DeAndre Ayton, they're shooters. It just simplifies everything around them. And I can't wait to see both of them back in the lineup together and healthy. Yeah,
their schedule going down the stretch is tough. Every team they play is in the playoff or in the playoff race. They play Denver twice. They're gonna play Minnesota tomorrow. They're gonna play both LA teams. Really, the only easy out they got, sorry Michelle, is your San Antonio Spurs.
Why do I
Phoenix.
cry?
But they're gonna get a real test down the stretch, and it's probably exactly what they want. They need to say some playoff adjacent basketball and really feel that way. And what I wonder, and what we saw in the game Shams mentioned out in Chicago, a lot of Kevin and DeAndre Ayton pick and rolls, a lot of just actions between the 2. I'm wondering when they eventually roll out the actions with Devin and Kevin and how the teams go about defending that. I think the obvious answer is, we'll switch, but you're forcing teams to really communicate and really work on the fly because those are 2 dangerous options right there in the same space on the floor. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to need to figure out their defense. They're going to need to figure out that 5th starter. But they look prime spot to gain some ground in the standings. They obviously can't catch the Kings. They're 5 games back, 6 games to go, but a chance to really get a foothold of the 4 seed and go from there. And like Chandler said, they're the most dangerous team in the conference. If this is what they bring to the playoffs, this healthy team, all of those options, it's scary. And you do not want to see them in round 1 or round 2 because once they're rolling, it's over.
Devin and Kevin, how am I just now hearing that for the first time? It's like the cutest little Disney thing. I love that so much. So last night's loss for Utah was basically, that's kind of it, right? Their play-in hopes are probably squandered. So Shams, as they move into the off season, what are their big priorities?
Well, I actually just put out, they signed a big man, Luka Samanic, out of the G League to a 10-day contract. So we see where this is going. I mean, this is clearly Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton. Those guys have essentially been shut down for the season with their injuries, hamstring, finger. Lauri Markkanen has been in and out of the lineup. It's been obvious. They got off to a great start this year. They've trailed off a little bit, and they're in a position now where they're competing on a nightly basis. But I think they all know what the goal at hand was this year, and it's try to get some lottery positioning. And I think once you go into the summer, this team has a lot of assets to play with. They've got a plethora of draft picks. They've got some good young players. Getting Jordan Clarkson either extended or signed in the summer is going to be a goal as well for the Jazz. I think Jordan Clarkson is a high priority for them. But this team has the assets and really the player pool to go out and go get a player as well when you look at teams around the league that could be positioned to go get a star.
It might be the best of both worlds. They started the season out hot. They were super relevant, and now they're going to end things in their own sort of good way, oddly. Shams, thank you so much. Wednesday tomorrow, we will talk to you in the morning. When we come back, however, Jimmy Butler says he doesn't really turn it on until after the All-Star break. I get it. We're going to talk about that. Is it normal when Run It Back returns?
Run it up, the running back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, 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 run it up, the run it back, yeah. Run it up.
Oh, how I've missed this segment, and oh, how I hate the first one. Jaylen Brown on Sandro Mamukelashvili. Oh, come on, guys.
Well done on the pronunciation.
Obviously, guys.
You saying that name is 10 times more impressive than this dunk. Congrats to JB, but that didn't move me quite like you just rolling that one out there. So
it's so fun to say. I mean, he goes by, sit down, Paul. We don't want to hear from you right now. Yeah, Mamu. It's just a fun name to say, but yeah, what are you gonna do? That was an ass whooping of a game. That's all I got to say about that. It was supposed to be. How about Jaren Jackson? I really love watching Jaren Jackson Jr. play. He does that a lot.
Oh, they called a foul?
No.
Blocking me is one thing, but then like making me fall while you block me, that's a whole nother beast.
It's insulting.
Like, come on, bro.
And he tried to hit him with
hard.
I wonder if John Collins tried to cock it to the side there knowing it was going to get beat up, or just he honestly thought he could add a little flavor on the wings right here.
That's a great question.
By the way,
Yeah,
why did they stop?
like
It's definitely a foul, right? Why did they stop playing?
They reviewed it.
Only a really tall athletic person like Chandler could have looked at this and said, yo, I wonder if he was really trying to dunk him. I never thought that. I was like, yo, that's awful.
That's happening. Jeff Green. Wow, Uncle Jeff. Okay.
The fact that he's still doing things like this is so wildly impressive.
Great.
Uncle Jeff will be dunking on people like this, like as long as he can walk. He'll be at like the Y just dunking on randos, and I love that for him.
I do too. I hope he has a reality show when he's in his like 70s and he's just hustling people with dunks. I would watch it. I would 100% watch it. Sell it now. We should sell it now. Get ahead of the curve just in case.
Nice blow by on Drew too. Whew.
Come on, that's
nice
not bad.
rip through.
Aaron Nesmith on Clint Capella. Okay. Pardon.
This was
Clint's one of those guys.
This was perfect timing. He was going up, and Clint just got caught in no man's land. Couldn't even get off the ground here.
I feel like he picks up speed in the air. Like, how's that even possible? Is that a thing?
This is what the dunkers say is when you get your feet right. He had that perfect runway to just jump as high as he could.
Like
this is great.
Taking off. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, I like that one. That might be my favorite. I don't know. RJ Hampton with a rejection.
Ooh. That's
like
nice. On
Yeah.
Boucher has had some nasty dunks this year too. So to catch him in the open court, that's nice.
He didn't even
another
know
guy
he was
that's
coming.
falling. Yeah, that's nice. Literally in the front row.
Half these dunks, like he could have honestly just snuck in a lefty layup right here and got the 2 points, but everyone wants a banger in transition here.
Yeah, we want to be entertained, Chandler.
Yeah.
Why are you such a hater on fun?
And thank you.
I mean, I was entertained regardless of how that turned out. Shaden Sharp, thank you.
Oh, what could have been? What could have been?
Dunk contest 2024.
All you had to do was put him in the Rising Stars game.
Whew.
That's all you had to do. We'll forever
Top of the
remember.
box. Yeah.
Would he have beat McClung,
That's
you think?
nice.
Because I feel like the McClung story was just bigger than life, but I don't know.
He would have got my vote. He's got an NBA jersey. He would have got my vote.
That's like automatically ahead of him. We got a little you buying that. This is a quote. This came out a week or so ago, but it was Jimmy Butler talking about the All-Star break and how he personally starts playing for real after that. This is when I start. It's that time. All right. Are you buying this, Eddie, that he doesn't really start until after the All-Star break?
I hate this. I hate everything about this. I buy it. Like, I actually believe him, but I hate that the regular season is viewed by this and, like, correctly viewed by this. He should do this. He's consistently struggling with injuries. He's you know, it's funny. He's not that old. I think he's 32, 33. Like, he's not. We have Steph out there trying to play every game. He can't. Like, these guys are older. We see what LeBron's doing. But he's right. Like, at the end of the day, he's right, and that's unfortunate because the regular season is exactly what, like, the pundits say it is. It kind of doesn't matter. We've turned ring culture into this situation where Jimmy Butler's saying, I don't even care until March. And then that he's right. But it's funny, he said this, then the next night they get blown out by the Nets. So, I mean, maybe he meant April. Maybe he's not taking it that serious just yet. Maybe he's waiting until April. But, yeah, I mean, Chandler, you've been there. The season's a grind. Like, it's a real grind. So I get it. But as a former player, are you looking at this like, how you feeling about this one?
I mean, you always play hard, right? But there is like a Tuesday game in December at Detroit where you're probably not diving on a loose ball or taking a crazy charge as you put at the end of the season or into the playoffs. So I feel him on that. But the idea that he doesn't try and play hard or play good, he's not trying to miss shots in the beginning of the season, right? He's not trying to, not help defense, not move his feet, not get beat one-on-one. When you're on the court as a competitor and an athlete, you're definitely locked in. You're trying to compete, and you are definitely playing hard. I think he's more focused. He's more locked in. Like I'm saying, plays like that, taking a charge, diving on the floor, even not going out the night before a game, later in the season when the implications are higher. Things like that, I get. But no, I think you're an NBA. There's 82 games. I think you're playing hard every single game. I just think there's certain games where you can't get up for. If I went and played right now on a 10-day contract in Houston, I don't think I would be that jazzed up if I'm on another situation where I'm winning and it's exciting and it's fun. I feel him, but no, you're in the NBA. You're playing hard every single game.
So here's why I think
this reeks.
This is because Jimmy Butler, to me, he's like a competitor, right? We look at him that way.
Yeah, that was kind of what shocked me.
He's the junkyard dog. He plays hard. He's tough. He's rugged. He's not really this, Devin Booker, KD, ISO. Like, his craft is him playing hard. So I don't really understand it from that standpoint. But who knows? Maybe he's about to really turn it on this last 2 weeks.
And like the Heat culture thing too, like their culture is to play hard and to really get after it on defense and to be Udonis Haslem, right? To be that. So it was kind of weird he said that, but it's kind of reeks of a guy like losing in 2K and then going, all right, now I'm going to pick my real team. It's all right, buddy.
By the way, if it was a better fan base, I would fight for them. And I'd say, I'm not paying for my season tickets until March, but it's Miami and we've seen what you guys are capable of. So I'm not going to do that for that now. Let's talk a little bit of Bucks for a second. Chris Middleton. How about Chris Middleton? 34-8-5 against the Pistons last night. That's not why, though. It's not why I'm focusing on here, Chandler. I want to talk about the Bucks' big three. Giannis, Holiday, Middleton. I'd throw Brooks Lopez in there as well. Is it the best in the league?
I mean, yeah, there's other duos that are better, but when you look at, a trio here, offensively, defensively, the way they shoot the ball, the way they defend, and the way they're winning games, it's hard to disagree with this. There's probably more talented where you look at Philly, you look at Maxey, Harden, and Embiid, you look at KD, Book, and I don't know, CP or Ayton, I guess. There's definitely other good duos. Like I like Brown and Tatum more than I like Giannis and Middleton, but you throw in that third guy with the success they've had. They've been the most consistent team all year long. These guys have been very, very steady. I love seeing Chris Middleton back and healthy and having games like this. It's hard to disagree with. It really is. There's, like I said, there's a lot of other duos I like better, but as a trio, yeah, give me them.
I think Chandler nailed it. There's probably better duos out there. But yeah, as a trio, and they fit so well. They complement each other so well. We've watched their late game prowess. We've watched Giannis, defer in a sense to those two who can really get it off the dribble and make the jumpers. And we've seen them all come through on the biggest stage. So, hey, it's kind of hard to fight that. I think Chandler nailed it. And, you mentioned the Suns. I want to see them play more than 3 games. Look at the Warriors. They've struggled all year long. Like, I'm not sure who you would even put up there as a trio. So it just goes back to the same point we've been saying for a while. The Bucks are the best team in the league. They need to be understood, and they're a dangerous force to reckon with.
Okay, Eddie, we're going to talk some Knicks right now. Get ready. Emmanuel Quickly. Look at him. He is on the 6-man thing right now, okay? So his odds are there provided. Thing. That was not a good professional word. Career high of 40-9 against the Rockets last night. He goes by Emmanuel. Are you buying him as 6th man, Eduardo?
I don't mind it. Like, it's just been a weird award all season long. I think Russ was the leader in the clubhouse at one point, and he's since moved teams. But Quick has come on strong at the end of this season, and you got to give the Knicks something. They've had a great year. You got to reward them in some sense, and that feels right. It just feels right. So I'm buying it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at him or Brogdon, I like him, everything he's done. He's had such explosive games. And like Eddie said, Russ is kind of out. Jordan Poole's out. Norman Powell's been hurt. Knicks had a great year. They're probably going to lose first round of the playoffs. Give them the 6th man of the year.
Why you got to throw that in there just all willy-nilly? They're probably going to lose in the first round. Rude. It's just bloody rude, Chandler. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to need you to sit down as I explain to you the complications that occurred last night in our parlay. But it's kind of good when we return.
Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up.
FanDuel Casino's March weekly super sweeps is here, and you can win a share of $300,000 each week from March 14th through April 2nd. Every Tuesday through Saturday, opt in, and any bet of $200 or more gets you an entry to that Sunday sweepstakes drawing. See FanDuel Casino for more details on how you can enter the March weekly super sweeps. Okay, so last night's parlay. Are you ready? Here we go. Eddie had Joel Embiid for the over. He obviously did not play. Chandler had the Sixers +5 at the Nuggets. They won by 5, so that was a push. But I, the sole light of the night, got mine. So basically, we won $18. I won $18. I'd just like to point that out. After a long drought, I finally had something happen good, and this whole thing was a hot mess. But it's a profit. And that being said, let's do it again. Eduardo, what do you have?
Hey, a win is a win is a win. I'm counting it. What are you talking about? I got the Cavs over the Hawks. I can't believe the spread is this small for a team that much better than the other team. So I'm just going with the simple math here. Give me the Cavs as a win.
Yeah, I like that one. By the way, I'm upset. When I sent in my pick yesterday, I was +5.5, so I feel like I should technically have covered there. think I'm going Heat. Jimmy Butler better play hard. He better play hard now, and I'm taking the Heat.
I feel good about that one. I have Grizzlies -7 in Orlando. It feels like they should win that one big. Guys, we did it. We did it again. I feel good about our picks today. I don't feel good about our picks today, but we will be back tomorrow, Wednesday morning. Have fun watching all the games tonight. Peace. Until then, I don't know how to do peace signs.
Run it up, the running back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back.